Before anything else, make yourself a little island of comfort. Warm socks, a favorite mug, and the softest corner of your blanket tucked under your chin. Listen to the thoughtful sounds of evening, the slow breath of the house settling, the window whispering against its latch, and the sigh of a breeze that smells of cinnamon bark and crisp leaves. Somewhere far away a clock folds its hands over the hour, and the world becomes unhurried. On Maplewood Lane, autumn arrives the way a careful friend arrives at your door. A smile of gold, a hush of red, and arms full of small surprises. The trees bow to one another in the breeze, trading leaves with the gentle patience of old neighbors, and the street lamps kindle, one by one, like candles carried by kindly ghosts. It is the sort of evening that prefers walking slowly and thinking even slower, the sort of evening that turns corners into commas and rooftops into quiet, closing quotation marks. You have come here, if only with your mind, to rest. The town knows this. When the first lantern wakes, it is because it has heard you trying to put your thoughts away, one by one, like shoes in a row by the door. The lantern's light is not bright, it is warm and round, the color of baked bread. It trembles once, twice, then steadies, as if promising to hold the light for you while you put the day down. The cobblestones hold the memory of sunlight under their cool faces. When you step from stone to stone, the sound is a pocket watch closing. Across the street, the window of the Maplewood Library is open a finger's width, just enough to let the room breathe. It smells of paper and pencil, dust and apples. There's a small bell above the door that rings like a droplet when someone enters, but no one enters now. Instead, a cat with folded marshmallow paws keeps the catalog warm. Her name is Fig, and she approves of sleep on principle. If you lean your shoulder to the library window and listen, you'll hear Miss Ada shelving in the softest way. She has learned, in her many seasons here, that books grow drowsy near closing time. She hums the same melody every night, a tune that never quite climbs a hill or loses its way in the valley, only meanders through the middles of notes, swinging a lantern of sound from branch to branch so the birds of thought can see where they're going. Outside, a little farther down, the night postman is stitching the street with quiet footsteps. He carries a bag that remembers long roads and folded letters and pockets of weather, a hint of summer thunder, a thread of winter smoke, a daisy pressed between receipts. He walks with a patient posture, as though his spine were a bookmark in a story not yet finished. If you watch closely, you'll see him stop at a gate nobody notices, slide a note into a crack in the wood, and rest his palm there, briefly, like a benediction. Tonight his route brings him by the bakery where the ovens finish their gentle work. The baker, Mr. Peabody, cools a tray of crescent rolls by the back door. Steam curls up in ribbons like secret messages rising to the moon. He sees the night postman and raises a roll in salute. The postman bows as if to a king. A crumb becomes a star as it falls, and a star becomes a crumb as it lands, and both agree that it is a good night. Across the lane, in a garden framed by a low stone wall, a little fox sits respectfully, the way children sit in the first pew at a quiet church. His ears are pages turning toward sound. He has come to listen to the leaves. Every year, as they begin to loosen their hold on the tree, the leaves remember things. They remember all the afternoons they filtered sunlight into a dappled hush, all the small birds who borrowed their shade for songs, all the rains they softened with their broad palms. Tonight, they tell the fox a story about patience, how the tree never rushes them to fall, and how the ground never hurries to cover them, and how every step between branch and earth is a breath nobody can see but everyone can feel. The fox lifts his nose, and there is cinnamon in the air, and apple skins, and a touch of the library's pencil shavings. He blinks once, then twice, the way a thought blinks when it acknowledges the hour. He tucks his tail around his feet and lets the town's heartbeat climb the small ladder of his bones until it finds a comfortable seat near his heart. Somewhere near the end of Maplewood Lane stands a bench carved with ivy and initials from summers ago. The bench has a soft opinion of people. It believes they always mean well when their shoulders remember to loosen. Tonight it is a ferry boat, and you are its only passenger. Sit here, if you like. Watch how the street glows as if it has learned the secret of keeping warm without a fire. Watch how windows lean their light into the evening like comfortable elbows on a sill. Watch how the moon rehearses its lines behind a high curtain of cloud and the stars nod as if they've heard this one before. If worries insist on peeking over your shoulder, let them. Then hand them a scarf and ask them to sit quietly on the bench's other arm. Tell them that tonight they are invited to be spectators only. They'll fidget a little, because worries prefer standing, but the bench is persuasive and the night postman gives them a ticket punched with patience. In a little while, they'll grow drowsy, and their edges will soften, and you will forget which scarf you lent them and which they brought. Miss Ada finishes her shelving, brushes a leaf from the library carpet, it has come indoors to see how it feels to be a rug, and turns the lamps low enough that the room can dream without losing itself. She steps out with Fig in her arms and locks the door with a key that takes a moment to remember its shape. "Good night, stories," she says, and the books murmur back in their paper tongues. "Evening, Ada," says the night postman, tipping his cap. "Evening, Luke," she replies. "How many dreams delivered?" "As many as the lane could hold," he says, with the faintest smile. "And one spare." "Leave it by the hydrangeas," she suggests. "They've been working hard at not blooming and might like a consolation prize." The fox listens without staring, which is the politest way to listen. He knows that words are skittish creatures. If you grab at them, they hide under porches. But if you sit very still, letting your breath be a pocket for their paws, they come to you of their own accord and fall asleep at your feet. A carriage of wind floats down the street carrying the faint scent of wood smoke and pear peel. The lanterns see the wind coming and puff a little brighter so it won't feel alone. You feel the bench agree with your spine, you feel your shoulders lower their luggage onto the platform, and you feel the thoughts in your head start to line up at a small ticket window marked tomorrow. An attendant with moon-white gloves stamps each one with a neat return at morning and waves them through. They go willingly. Thoughts like a schedule. Now, the smallest things show themselves. The way a moth corrects its course at the last instant so it doesn't kiss the flame. The way rain, still an idea, tries out its steps across a rooftop. The way a silver hairpin of starlight slides loose from the clouds and pins the night's hair back in a tidy bun. The way your breath decides to match the soft, practiced rhythm of someone you love. There is a reason the lane is named Maplewood. The maples here understand time. They keep it not in clocks but in rings, and on nights like this they let the time seep into the street so the people can borrow it without interest. If you press your palm to the bench's arm, you'll feel the slow metronome hidden in the wood. It is steady and unsurprised. It knows how to wait until a story decides it is ready to be told. A door opens. A child appears in a doorway holding a pillow to her chest like a small moon. Her father follows with a blanket folded over his arm and a smile that has learned to be quiet. They step onto their porch and sit on the top stair, watching the lanterns. The child's eyelids are dragonflies near the end of their day. He tucks the blanket around her and hums something slow and shapely. No words, just the path words would take if they were not so sleepy. The night postman pauses in the street and listens. For a moment, all of Maplewood Lane hums with them, a chorus made of footsteps, leaf breath, and kettle steam. In the library window, left just a finger open, a page turns itself. No one sees it but the cat, who is a professional. She approves. A story has chosen to take care of itself tonight. Good. Miss Ada deserves to rest. At the far end of the lane, beside the garden where the fox sits, a gate you didn't notice before stands ajar. It is an ordinary gate in all the ordinary ways. A latch, a hinge, a squeak that behaves like weather, but tonight it has borrowed a little magic. Not the thunderclap sort that startles, the teacup sort that comforts. It opens onto a narrow path between hedges that remember afternoon sun even now. If you walk there, the path will not hurry you. It will step at your step, breathe at your breath. Walk there now. The hedges lean in like grandparents listening to a story they themselves told once upon a time. The path widens to admit you kindly. Somewhere ahead a cricket plucks one string over and over, deciding it prefers a melody made of almosts. Your feet, which until now have been good at pretending to be wakeful, begin to confess their sleepiness to the shoes. The shoes are sympathetic. They agree to carry sleep softly so it does not slosh. At a bend in the path, a low wall appears, warm with the day's saved sunlight, smooth with hands that have rested here before. Sit. You can see the back of the library from here, the breathing roof, the small chimney like a pencil in a pocket. You can see the town's steeple beyond the trees, not scolding, only counting heartbeats for those who want to be counted. The fox has come along too, without making a fuss of it. He sits at a respectful distance, then scoots half an inch closer, then decides that is enough for a first friendship. This is the part of the night, says the lane, not aloud but in the special grammar of places, when everything important is in the present tense. You rest your crown against the wall's warm stone. The world narrows to hospitable things. The woolly weight of your blanket, the roundness of your breath, the lantern's slow pulse beyond the hedge. If thoughts come, they come as leaves. They loosen, twirl once or twice through your mind, then settle quietly by your feet. There is nothing to sweep. Tonight the ground is proud of its neatness. The night postman, having made his last delivery, returns the way rivers return, following a silver idea through the dark. He pauses by your gate and takes a neat, folded note from his bag. He does not cross the hedge. He leaves the note on the latch, where the moon can read it too. In tidy handwriting it says, "You are allowed to rest." He taps the paper with one knuckle, a kind of stamp, then tips his cap to the fox and goes. Miss Ada's upstairs light clicks out. The cat performs a last important inspection of the windowsill, approves, and curls into a comma. The bench on the lane releases one small creak, the way old boats do when they remember a lullaby, and then is silent, pleased to be useful. Somewhere deep in the maples a slow applause begins. Not clapping, only leaves agreeing with the night. It tells you something simple: you did enough today. Even if you didn't finish the list, you finished the day. The day closes like a well-behaved book, placing its own ribbon between the pages for you, saving the sentence you stopped on. Tomorrow will open right there, easy as breath. Your breath rises and sets, rises and sets. Your shoulders, convinced at last, let go of the last, smallest knot. The fox puts his soft head on his soft paws. He has decided you are good company. The hedges lean back, satisfied that you have found the comfortable place inside your own quiet. The lanterns dim themselves one small note, then another, until their music is a cradle only moths can hear. And if sleep comes now, soft-footed, shawl-draped, smelling faintly of chamomile and bread, it will find you ready, will find you exactly where a story should leave a listener, safe, warm, and almost dreaming. The lane promises the night deepens, but not in a way that hurries. Maplewood Lane prefers to stretch time like dough, kneading it gently until each moment rises, warm and round. The lanterns hum faintly to themselves, practicing a lullaby they will never finish, because finishing would mean silence, and silence is already busy doing its own work among the leaves. You have been walking along the hedge path for a while now, though you can't remember exactly when your feet began moving again. Perhaps the fox nudged you forward, or perhaps the bench whispered that the story continued if you wanted to follow it. In any case, the path accepts your steps with the patience of moss, muffling them until they are no heavier than thoughts sliding into dreams. The air is cooler here, with a hint of cinnamon fading into cedar. Somewhere nearby, water trickles, soft as fingers across a harp. When you reach a curve in the hedges, you see it, a brook winding through stones that look polished by centuries of sighs. The brook is not wide, nor is it eager. It folds its current the way a mother folds laundry, carefully, tenderly, one piece at a time. The fox approaches the edge and peers at his reflection. For a moment, two foxes blink at each other. one with whiskers of fur, the other with whiskers of moonlight. The fox dips his nose into the water, and the reflection wavers, but does not vanish. It only stretches itself thinner, like dough under rolling pin, and then reforms, patient as before. There is a bridge across the brook, a low arch of wood that seems to hum with its own memory. When you step upon it, the wood gives slightly, as though greeting your weight not with resistance but with recognition. Beneath, the brook murmurs a secret in a language only water knows. You lean over the rail and listen, not to understand, but to allow the sound to place a cool hand on your forehead. On the far side of the bridge, the path widens into a clearing. Lanterns hang not from poles here but from branches, their glass globes swaying slightly as though the trees themselves are rocking the lights to sleep. Fireflies add their tiny punctuation marks, flashing as if they are eager students, raising their hands to say, "We are awake still, but only just." In the clearing stands a gazebo, white painted and wrapped with ivy. Its steps creak in a voice that sounds practiced, like an old storyteller settling into the familiar rhythm of a tale. Inside, benches curve in a semicircle, welcoming anyone who wishes to sit and rest. You take a seat, and the fox curls at your feet, tail wrapped neatly around him, his eyes slipping into slits of contentment. And then you notice you are not alone. An old man sits across from you, or perhaps he has only just appeared. His coat is long, patched at the elbows, and his hat has the kind of tilt that suggests it remembers rain as much as sun. His face is lined in a way that feels less like age and more like cartography, a map drawn of places he has walked, paths he has folded into memory. "Good evening," he says, in a voice like crackling embers. "The lane has guided you well." You nod, though you're not sure what reply he expects. "Few wander this far," he continues. "But those who do often carry something heavy. You've set yours down already, haven't you?" You consider his words. Perhaps you did leave your worries back on the bench, scarves wrapped around their fuss. Or perhaps they slipped from your shoulders when you crossed the brook. In any case, you realize now that your chest feels light, as if it has remembered how to float. "That's good," says the old man, reading your silence. "The night prefers guests who travel unburdened. It can cradle them better that way." He reaches into his coat and produces a small notebook. Its cover is leather, worn soft by countless hands. "Would you like to hear tonight's entry?" he asks. You nod again, curious. He opens the notebook to a page already inked with tidy lines. He reads, "This evening, the maples told the fox that patience is not waiting, it is trusting. The lanterns whispered to the moths that every circle of light contains a doorway. And the brook carried away a sigh that had been left on a bench, polishing it into a pebble, so that someone tomorrow may find it and think it was always beautiful." The words settle in the gazebo like down feathers drifting in slow air. You close your eyes for a moment, and the cadence lingers, softening the last sharp corners of your wakefulness. When you open your eyes again, the old man has closed the notebook. He tucks it away, tips his hat, and says, "That will do. The rest of the story belongs to you." Before you can reply, he is gone. Not vanished dramatically. Just gone in the way a shadow withdraws when the lantern turns. The fox stretches, yawns soundlessly, and nudges your ankle. He seems to say, "Come on, there is more to see." You leave the gazebo, following the path that now curls toward the deeper heart of Maplewood's autumn. The trees here are taller, their leaves a choir of bronze and rust. Some drift down lazily, brushing your shoulders as if to remind you of gravity, though they themselves have already let go of it. The air tastes faintly of honey. After a while, the path climbs a gentle hill. At the top, you find a wide meadow, bathed in moonlight so soft it feels woven rather than poured. In the middle of the meadow stands a tree, a great oak, older than memory. Its branches stretch in every direction, a cathedral built not of stone but of patience. Lanterns hang from its limbs as well, though these glow fainter, like the hush before dawn. At the base of the oak lies a circle of stones. In the center, a fire flickers, not high, not wild, but steady, like a heart that has learned the value of rhythm. Around the fire sit figures. Some people you think you may have glimpsed on the lane, others who look like they stepped out of stories half remembered. The baker Mr. Peabody is here, still dusted with flour. Miss Ada has brought Fig the cat, who perches on her lap like punctuation. Even the night postman is here, leaning on his satchel as though it were a pillow. They are not speaking, they are simply sitting, sharing the company of the flame. And as you approach, there is a space waiting, exactly your size, as though the fire knew you were coming. You sit. The fox curls at your side, eyes reflecting the glow. No one says a word, and yet everything is said. The fire snaps occasionally, each spark rising like a star rehearsing for the sky. Time here does not march, it sways, like a hammock. You feel yourself swaying with it, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. The meadow, the oak, the lanterns, the people, all are cradling you in a silence more eloquent than any speech. And slowly, your eyes drift half-closed. If this is a dream, it is a kind one. If it is not, it doesn't matter. The meadow holds you, the oak shelters you, the fire warms you, and the night hums. You are safe. You are allowed to rest. To keep watch. It is very good at that. The fire in the meadow does not demand attention. It breathes steadily, each flame leaning forward like a storyteller bowing before a crowd that has already drifted half into slumber. Sparks lift into the sky with no urgency, content to be brief stars on their short journey upward. And around the circle, the listeners are at ease, some leaning back against their elbows, others resting their chins in their palms, and one or two already surrendering to the heavy tug of sleep. You sit among them, shoulders soft, the fox at your side like a folded blanket that breathes. Across the circle, Miss Ada strokes Fig the cat with long, deliberate movements, her hand traveling as slowly as time itself. The baker Mr. Peabody lets his eyes droop shut, his apron faintly powdered with flour that even the night air does not disturb. The night postman hums almost inaudibly, not a song with words but the suggestion of a song, as if the lanterns themselves had asked him to carry their music in his chest. The oak above, vast and old, does what oaks do best, it waits. It waits for leaves to fall, for seasons to fold over one another, for people to come and go with their questions and their weariness. Tonight it waits for you. A branch lowers just enough for a lantern to sway closer, its glow pooling in your lap like honey spilled without regret. And as the glow deepens, something curious happens. The stones in the fire circle begin to hum, not loudly, not in tune with anything you recognize, but softly, each stone offering a note so faint it might be mistaken for wind. Together, they weave a low harmony, like the bass of a lullaby no one has yet finished composing. The fox lifts his head, ears twitching, then sighs and lowers it again, satisfied. The sound is not meant to disturb, it is meant to hold. And slowly you realize that the humming stones are not merely singing, they are remembering. Close your eyes. The hum opens into images, not sharp like photographs, but blurred and tender like sketches drawn in candlelight. You see children playing among the fallen leaves of autumns long past, their laughter carried by breezes that still wander this meadow. You see travelers resting at this same fire centuries ago, their cloaks heavy with rain, their hearts unburdened as they warmed their hands. You see foxes like yours, and owls, and deer, all pausing to drink in the same glow, each leaving a trace of their presence folded into the soil. The meadow has been listening all along, and now it shares what it has heard. Someone to your left, perhaps the night postman, leans forward slightly and murmurs, each voice that comes here leaves an echo. Tonight, you leave yours too. You do not reply, words feel unnecessary. Instead, you let your breath fall into the rhythm of the humming stones. Inhale, the fire brightens. Exhale, the fire steadies. Each breath writes itself into the meadow's memory, gentle, unhurried, ready to rest alongside all the others. The fire sighs once, a long exhale of sparks, and the circle begins to thin. Not with departure, but with blending. One by one, figures grow softer around the edges, as if the night is painting them with fog. Mr. Peabody dissolves into the smell of warm bread. Miss Ada fades into the rustle of pages turning. The postman folds into the rhythm of distant footsteps on cobblestones. Even Fig the cat becomes little more than a soft comma in the sentence of sleep. You are not alarmed. You understand, in the calm clarity that comes before dreams, that they are not leaving you. They are becoming part of the lane itself, returning to the places that need their presence most. The fox remains, though. He stretches, yawns silently again, and looks at you with eyes that glimmer like two amber lanterns. He flicks his tail and stands. It is time to move on. You rise from the circle, the meadow swaying gently as if in approval. The fire lowers itself respectfully, shrinking to embers, and the oak whispers something through its branches that sounds like, "Well done." Carry the quiet with you. You follow the fox out of the meadow, onto another path. This one feels softer, lined with grass that muffles each step until walking seems less like movement and more like floating. The air has shifted too, warmer now, touched with apple cider, spiced wood, and something floral that hides between the scents like a shy note in a long song. Ahead, you hear bells. Not sharp, not urgent, delicate, like wind chimes swaying above a porch where no one hurries to answer the door. The fox trots toward the sound, glancing back once as if to confirm you're following. The path ends at a small orchard. Branches bend low with apples glowing in the lantern light, their skins mottled red and gold like pieces of sunset stored for later. Strung between the trees are the bells you heard, tiny glass globes, catching the lantern glow and ringing when brushed by the night air. The whole orchard shimmers with their song, a music too gentle to wake anyone, but just right to escort a listener deeper into rest. A woman tends the orchard. She wears a shawl that looks woven from twilight itself, indigo stitched with silver threads. Her hair is white, not with age but with the color of frost that has kissed her head early and decided to stay. She sees you and smiles as if she has been expecting you. "Good evening," she says, in a tone that blends perfectly with the chimes. "You've walked far enough to deserve something sweet." She plucks an apple, polishes it with her shawl, and offers it to you. The fruit is cool in your hand, its weight honest, its scent almost like cinnamon but softer. When you take a bite, the flavor is both sharp and soothing, like crisp water poured over a tired thought. It quenches not only thirst, but the restless edges of the day. "Every apple keeps a dream," the woman says. "Take yours with you. It will ripen when you sleep." You nod, holding the apple carefully, though already your body feels heavier with the pull of rest. The fox circles once under a tree, then curls at its roots, clearly ready to pause here. The woman gestures toward a bench hidden among the orchard rows, where a quilt waits as though placed by someone who knew you would arrive chilled. You sit. The quilt welcomes your shoulders, drawing them down like a mother smoothing her child's hair. The bells continue their quiet chiming, each note landing like a droplet of calm water. Above, apples sway gently, as if nodding in agreement with your fatigue. The orchard does not ask you to think. It does not even ask you to stay awake. It only asks you to rest long enough for dreams to catch up with you. Your eyes grow heavier. The fox sighs deeply in his sleep, and you find yourself imitating him, your breath slowing until it matches the rhythm of the orchard bells. The woman hums a lullaby, soft and without words. The shawl around her shoulders glimmers faintly, as though storing the stars you cannot see through the branches. You lean your head back, the apple still in your hand, its sweetness lingering at the corners of your mouth. The orchard holds you gently, bells singing the world quieter and quieter until silence itself feels like a blanket. And in that silence, one truth becomes clear. You are allowed to let go now. You are allowed to sleep. Your last thought, before slipping into the meadow of dreams, is simple and certain. The night has built a cradle just for you, and you fit. The orchard rests around you like a shawl of sound. The bells hush their ringing into slower breaths, The branches lean a little lower, and the apples hold their golden light as if saving it for dawn. Beside you, the fox sleeps curled like a comma, a reminder that the sentence of the night has not ended, only paused to let you breathe. The woman with the frost-white hair touches your shoulder gently. "There is one more place," she whispers. "The orchard will stay, but the lane has kept a house for you." You rise slowly, as though you are standing inside a dream already. The quilt folds itself neatly as you leave, as if to say it enjoyed your company. The fox trots ahead, refreshed by his nap, tail brushing the grass like a soft paintbrush. The orchard path opens back into the lane. The lanterns here burn lower now, no longer bright globes but small embers floating in glass, carrying just enough light to remind you where to step. The hedges that once guided you have parted, and the cobblestones return, warmer than stone should be at this hour. Far ahead, you see it, a little house tucked at the end of Maplewood Lane. It is not tall, not wide, not proud, but quietly certain. Smoke curls from its chimney in a line so thin it looks like a sentence written by a feather. Its windows glow not with brilliance but with the color of resting candles. As you approach, you notice details that make the house feel familiar, though you've never seen it before. The ivy curling across its doorframe, the soft creak of its porch, the way the curtains sway as though they, too, are breathing. The fox leaps onto the porch and waits by the door, looking back at you with eyes that say, "This is yours." The door opens without a hand to pull it. Inside, the air is warm, honeyed, spiced, layered with cedar smoke. A rug stretches across the floor, patterned in leaves that match the ones outside. A fire whispers in the hearth, not demanding attention, only offering itself as a heartbeat for the room. On a table nearby sits a mug of cocoa, steam curling lazily upward. The mug is chipped in a way that suggests many evenings of faithful use. You take it, sip, and feel the warmth spread through your chest, smoothing out the last folds of the day. The house reveals itself gently, room by room. A kitchen with jars of jam glowing like stained glass. A bookshelf where spines lean against one another like friends sharing secrets. A window seat padded with cushions, where the night looks in kindly but does not intrude. Finally, you find the bedroom prepared for you. The bed is wide, its quilt stitched with stars and leaves, its pillows plump as clouds. The lantern on the nightstand hums in the same tone as the lanterns of the lane, as if to say, "You are still among friends." The fox curls at the foot of the bed, claiming his post. The window lets in a sliver of moonlight that lies across the quilt like a silver ribbon. You lie down, and immediately the mattress embraces you, not as furniture but as an old friend who has been waiting patiently. Your breath slows. The cocoa's warmth lingers, blending with the fire's whisper and the fox's steady breathing. Outside, the lane grows quieter still. Lanterns dim to glimmers, the orchard bells hush into memory, the meadow folds itself into silence. And then, as if on cue, the lane itself begins to sing. Not in words, not in melodies you can name, but in the gathered sound of everything you have met tonight. The turning pages in Miss Ada's library, the baker's tray cooling by the door, the postman's footsteps on cobblestones, the oak's patient branches, the stones humming, the orchard bells, the fox's sigh. All of it blends into one cradle song, soft as breath, certain as rest. Your eyes grow heavier. Thoughts slip away like leaves into the brook. The quilt pulls closer. The lantern at your bedside lowers itself to the faintest glow, like a guardian tucking in its charge. "You did enough today," whispers the lane. "You are enough. Sleep now." The fox stirs once, then settles. The fire folds into embers. The cocoa cup cools on the table, but you are already drifting beyond taste, beyond sound, into the meadow of dreams that waits only for you. And as sleep claims you fully, the house smiles its wooden smile, the lane nods its leafy head, and autumn itself leans down to place one last kiss of gold on your forehead. The story closes, the night keeps watch, and you, at last, are home.